You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Good morning and welcome to the Voice of Charity. I am Phil Zepeda here with my colleague, Katie Bredemann. Good morning, Katie.
Good morning, Phil.
Glad to have you here. We welcome all of you who are listening on WNDZ 750 AM and all those who are tuning into our live stream on YouTube and Facebook at Catholic Chicago. So we're here this morning to talk about Casa Catalina. How exciting. It's one of our most active and vibrant service centers for Catholic Charities. It started on the 4500 block of Ashland Avenue in 1984 as a food pantry for the parishioners of Holy Cross Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish. And in 1990, the food pantry opened up to families in the community. And in August of 2005, Casa Catalina became a part of Catholic Charities.
And people are served at Casa Catalina based on the immediacy of their needs and their family size. They also must live within the boundary area enclosed by 35th and 51st Streets and Racine and California Avenues, although these boundaries were adjusted a bit throughout the pandemic so that Casa Catalina could basically serve anybody in need. Here to take us inside Casa Catalina and hear about all the great things happening each week there is Michelle Ramirez, who is Casa Catalina coordinator and an incredibly talented leader at Catholic Charities. Welcome, Michelle.
All right, we're checking to see how we can get Michelle back into the program here.
I could share with you, Phil, that
Sure.
Michelle is recently a coordinator at Casa Catalina for many years. I believe it was at least 15 years. There was a wonderful sister named Sister Joellen Tumas, and we had her on the show before she retired last year, and she just talked about lovingly about how this food pantry literally started as an outreach with the neighboring parish, and before you knew it, more people were saying, oh gosh, you can expand and do client services, you can expand and do immigration and legal services, and so it really became this community hub of support, and all it did was just start as a food pantry. It was really inspiring to listen to Sister Joellen.
You know, I think it's emblematic of the way that so many Catholic Charities programs lift up the entire human spirit. You know, it started as a food pantry, but they recognize that the needs of the community and those individuals that are coming to that location often go beyond the need for food, right? It's treating the entire human spirit and recognizing exactly the programs that you were just talking about. What are their other needs that are interfering with them leading their lives and also causing this type of food insecurity? So it's that type of approach which really has helped people for decades now overcome, you know, these barriers that are just so simple to so many of us.
Well, and I also think that a key factor in its success is becoming part of Catholic Charities because, as Sister Joellen mentioned to me, and I believe Michelle's going to expand on that today, that being able to address people's needs, not just through the services in Casa Catalina, but our wide, expansive outreach of programs and services throughout the Catholic Charities Network, that's so huge to its success because all of the coordinators there can, just reach out on the phone and contact people throughout Catholic Charities to get the assistance they need.
Yeah.
I think we might have Michelle back.
We do.
Yeah, welcome, Michelle.
There we are.
Hi, how are you guys?
Hey, good morning.
Like technical difficulties.
No problem at all.
It's all right. We can punt. It's all good. It's great to have you here. Michelle, Katie and I were just talking about the whole, really treating the human spirit and the holistic services that are offered at Casa Catalina. Related to that, tell us what an average day or an average week might be like at Casa Catalina? I recognize that there is no necessarily average, but give us a snapshot and help us paint a picture of what that's like for you and the clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So here at Casa Catalina, we're in back of the yards, and our day starts as early as 7:30. What we do, day in the life of our troop here is we open up early to welcome and receive the Greater Food Depository deliveries to ensure that we have food available for our clients that are coming in. So we are staffed primarily by volunteers. We highly depend on our volunteers to get, this operation going. So we start off by receiving the pallets of food. It can range from 2 pallets, and then on Wednesdays, for example, we can get up to 14 pallets of food, which translates into about 17,000 pounds of food that we receive for a 2-week allotment. So we're responsible for bringing that food in, those pallets in, organizing the food, all the perishable and non-perishable items, stocking shelves, and kind of getting our pantry ready for welcoming clients in. Once we open our doors at 9:30, folks are welcomed by, they check in, then they are escorted through our aisles with us while we accompany them, and it's a choice pantry, right? We've moved away from just giving folks, a bunch of things, a bunch of perishable and non-perishable items, to now giving them a shopping experience. So we actually walk with them up and down the aisles, and, we introduce the product. If they want it, great. If they don't take it, which I think is awesome, right? I think that gives some sort of, that's powerful for the client that's coming in, right? That they get to choose what they want. It's not necessarily what we want to give them, but they get to choose what they want to take home or what they need. So that's mainly our day. We see approximately 250 clients a week. Some days, we see more, other days we see less, but on average, it's about 250 clients that we see.
And so, Michelle, what would you say? Obviously, the ongoing supply of food is fundamentally important to fill that basic need in people's homes. But would you say that continues to be the greatest concern? The clients are coming to Casa Catalina for the summer, or are there some other basic needs that you are helping your team members prioritize for the clients?
Yeah, primarily it's food insecurity, right? We saw a shift just from May to June. We saw a jump of 200 more clients that came through our door. Folks are coming in for food, really. I would say 95% of folks that walk through our doors are coming in for food. We saw that jump. We attributed to children being out of school, right? So children are getting out of school now. So now they're at home. Families are having to stretch their groceries, to stretch their dollar. So we saw that big jump of 200 more clients in June than in May, and it stayed steady through July. And I anticipate it'll stay steady through August, because again, kids are slowly returning to school now. They're not getting those 2 meals, breakfast and lunch at school, now that they're at home. And so families are having to, again, stretch those groceries out for longer periods of time.
Yeah, you're really experiencing, that summer hunger rush, right there within the facility. Michelle, are there times that you ever wonder whether or not you're going to have enough resources to meet these client needs?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's part of my anxiety as a coordinator here. Once, we get food allotments every 2 weeks, right? Once that 2-week mark starts getting closer, we see our shelves kind of dwindling down. We don't have enough produce. We don't have enough, the staples, right, that folks come in looking for.
Right.
Eggs, cheese, milk, rice, flour, sugar, beans. Those are things that get wiped out pretty quickly, right? And so it does produce some sort of anxiety, right? But I think part of my role here too is really to partner with other groups that are doing similar work. And so in case we don't have something that folks need, we're able to refer out to another local pantry. And so we're able to work collaboratively in that way. That's to try to take the pressure off, because it can create a lot of anxiety for me to see the shelves empty. But we have such a great group here. We're also able to, reach out to other Catholic Charities pantries within our network, and they'll be more than happy to supply us with emergency food.
So you mentioned that you work with the 7 other Catholic Charities food pantries and the Chicago Food Depository. Can you share with us some of the other community partners that you work with on a regular basis to not only help clients with their food insecurity, but some of their other needs as well?
Yes, absolutely. So again, folks walk in for food, but as you're walking through the aisles with them, you do small talk, right? You get to know what's happening, and they're more than happy to share. And sometimes they're looking for other advice. We also refer a lot to our immigrant services within Catholic Charities. Folks come in looking for immigration services. Folks come looking in for housing services. Folks come in looking for alternative education, for employment, for diapers and formula, for parenting classes. I mean, you name it. We refer out. If we don't have it in-house within our Catholic Charities network, we do refer out. We refer out to, Latinos Progresando out in Marshall Square, or to the Resurrection Project out in Pilsen. I try, again, we don't have to, what I tell folks here, sometimes they get overwhelmed because they're like, well, this person's coming for this and this and this issue. And, we only have food. And I'm like, yes, but we're also a resource. Well, we can collaborate with other organizations who are doing that specific work and refer them out.
Can you talk a little bit about the new partnership that you brought to Catholic Charities this year with Star Farm?
Absolutely. I'm really excited about this new partnership that I brought along with my friend and colleague Stephanie over at Star Farm. Star Farm is a small urban agricultural farm where they produce organic produce, right? And so we were able to coordinate between the Greater Chicago Food Depository as the administrator of this pilot program, us and Star Farm. So now on a weekly basis, what Star Farm is doing, they're bringing 150 bunches of three types of produce to us, so that we can offer it to our clients. And so this is week 3. Last week, they brought us some kale, beets, and some green beans. And people were skeptical. They're like, oh, they're not going to take the beets, or they're not going to take the kale. Well, let me tell you, those flew out our baskets. They were the first to go. So folks were really excited about that. And I'm really excited about offering fresh produce, just because I think it livens up the groceries bags, right? It's great to have non-perishable items, but there's something about giving folks fresh, or offering them fresh produce, that kind of makes their experience that much better. So I'm definitely looking forward to continuing this partnership with them as the weeks continue.
Hey, Michelle, one last question before we throw it to break here. Let's talk about the boundaries of service delivery that were in place for clients but lifted with the pandemic. What's the geographic footprint of clients that you're seeing, and how broad is that?
Yeah, so we don't have boundaries. We continue to welcome anyone in the state, really. And just last week, I registered someone from Skokie. We have folks from Dolton. We have folks from Oak Park. We have folks from Cicero, right? And again, you hear their stories. Some folks are part of the transient community, and other folks are just kind of making the move into the city because it's getting expensive to live in these other suburbs where they are. So yes, we are seeing, folks from really everywhere. Hazel Crest, we had some folks from there, Dolton. So we're seeing a lot of folks from all over the state, really.
That's remarkable.
Well, Michelle, we're so delighted to have you here with us today to take us inside Casa Catalina, this dynamic service center for Catholic Charities. If you'll please bear with us, we're going to take a quick break here on The Voice of Charity. And when we return, we're going to continue our conversation with Michelle Ramirez. Please stay tuned.
Catholic Charities Refugee Resettlement Program has been especially busy this year, assisting individuals and families who have fled dangerous situations in their homeland, including Afghanistan and the Ukraine. The Refugee Resettlement Team helps with everything they need to start to rebuild their lives in a new country, including housing, employment, clothing, food, English classes, and referrals for legal and immigration services. The refugees are tremendously grateful for the compassion and practical help they're receiving, and they're giving back and helping each other plan for a brighter, safer future. Volunteer opportunities are currently available for those who would like to be family mentors and tutors so children and adults can practice English. To learn more about these rewarding opportunities, call 312-655-7096. That's 312-655-7096.
Always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning, because really you are changing lives, you are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Do you have an old bicycle that's not being used? Consider donating it to Catholic Charities Veterans Bike Project of Lake County. Skilled volunteers are refurbishing bicycles to make them safe and ready to be used by veterans to get to and from their new places of work. We also gratefully accept financial contributions that are used to purchase bike helmets and other safety accessories. Our veterans have faithfully served the United States, and now it is our privilege to serve them. For more information on the Veterans Bike Project of Lake County, call 847-782-4219. That's 847-782-4219.
Welcome back to the Voice of Charity. I'm Phil Zepeda, here with my colleague Katie Bredemann. We are talking to the leader of Casa Catalina. Michelle, welcome back to us. We're glad to have you here. We were talking a little bit about the changes around geographic boundaries with COVID-19. Are there any operational changes that you saw that came about through the pandemic that are helpful for the long run, now that hopefully most of the worst of the pandemic is behind us?
We kind of limited the amount of people that we take in at a time into our space, right? We had, I believe it was 7 people that can only be in the building, including volunteers. We've kind of remained more of a smaller group while people are shopping. What I think that gives folks, again, is that experience that they're shopping at a grocery store versus kind of rushing them in, rushing them out. Right. So I really like that. We take our time with each client. You know, we escort them through the aisles. They take their time. We, and again, it's part of like getting to know the client as you're walking through the aisles. So I really, really like that. And I think we're going to continue that. I think it works. It feels less stress on both the volunteer staff and the clients to be able to have, more of a like shopping experience at our site.
And I know, Michelle, that some improvements were made to Casa Catalina, the building structure itself, back in 2020. And our chaplain, Father Jerry Kelly, came out and did a beautiful blessing. I believe our live stream is showing a couple photos from that celebration. Can I ask, now that a couple years has passed since then, do you still have in the back of your mind, a continuous urge to keep seeing how things can be more efficient and how each space can be used, in the most practical ways possible? Or do you kind of feel like you're at maximum efficiency now?
Yeah, so I've only been out here for about 2 months, but I think, innovation, it's a continuous process, right? I think that the space is great. The way we're utilizing it right now, it works, but there's always room for improvement, right? And so I'm always eager to learn what other sites are doing, what other programs are doing, how are they navigating this system, how can we better, operationalize our system and improve it. So I think there's always room for improvement here. Absolutely.
Folks watching our live stream are seeing just a stream of photographs of the staff, the volunteers, the clients. So many people are smiling. You set such a wonderful environment there for people to be lifted up when, it can be very, interesting or compromising sometimes. So that's just a wonderful, wonderful characteristic of Casa Catalina. Can you tell us a little bit about the families? If you've got specific stories that are meaningful or endearing to you, that you've come across, that your staff have come across, that are memorable, that you can share.
Yes, absolutely. So just recently, we, a client came in. I'll call her Miss K. She's a teacher. So she's a teacher, and she wanted to talk to the manager, right, or the person in charge. So I came out. I was in the back restocking, and she wanted to talk to me privately. So I took her into the office, and we started talking. And so she disclosed to me, that she's a teacher. She's, I think, 2 years into her education kind of career, and she's going through a separation right now. And she just started at a new school, and she was just really embarrassed. She said to be here and to ask for help and support. But she needed food. She has 2 little ones at home, and she's like, I just started at this new school. I haven't gotten paid. And I just really, she's like, I know I have a career and I know I have a job, but I really need food. And I'm like, that's what we're here for. And I reassured her, there's nothing to be ashamed of for coming here. And we have folks from all walks of life. It does take a village. It does take everyone, anyone in a precarious situation. It doesn't matter if you're an educator. It doesn't matter if you work at the grocery store. At one point or another, that's what we're here for. And so she just needed to be heard at that moment, I think, and needed to be reassured that it's okay. It's okay. It's great that she's a teacher. It's great that she works in one of our community schools, but we all need help and support at one time. So that one, that happened last week. And, I reassured her, it's okay. Enroll. We'll walk you through the process. And she kept saying like, oh, I'm just going to come like this one time. I'm like, you know what, whether you come one time a month or one time a quarter, that's what we're here for, to support you in those moments where you feel stressed, where you feel like you need that support from the village. That's what we're here for.
What a wonderful story. And I think that you tapped on it so incredibly well. It's addressing that stigma that right. can come from these types of experiences for these individuals. And, they might be at their lowest low and coming there, but you recognize that and you carry them along the way and you accompany them in this experience of simply picking up groceries. How lovely, how meaningful.
You're obviously so skilled at what you do, Michelle, and everything that all of us do here at Catholic Charities is all about the clients and being there for them where they're at, accompanying them on their journey, and that story that you just described personifies that. So it's really inspiring to hear that. I know you mentioned that you've only been with Catholic Charities 2 months. Can you share with us a little bit about how you got involved in this work?
Yes, absolutely. So I've only been here for about 2.5 months, but I am definitely not a stranger to Catholic Charities. They're this community. I was actually a volunteer here 20 years ago when I was in high school. And that's how I started when this food pantry was under the hospice of Holy Cross Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish back on 46th and Honorary. I was a volunteer throughout high school and college. And we fast forward 20 years later, and here I am running this pantry that I once volunteered in. And I actually grew up right across the street from where Casa Catalina currently resides. And so that's how I started here. And for me, it's kind of a full circle now that I get to come back and I get to run the food pantry where I once volunteered. That experience really touched me, I think, and that kind of set forth what I was going to do as a professional. I am a social worker by trade. And so that really set the tone, I think, for my volunteer experience, my professional experience and what I've done. And now I'm here. I'm here back in my community where I grew up, with folks that I know, with folks that that remember me. There are still folks that have been coming for 20 plus years. And they remember me. They're like, oh, I remember you were like younger and 15. And I was like, yes, that was me.
That was me.
You're probably seeing generations of families there.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. And there are some volunteers here that have been here 30 years, right? That when they saw me walk through the door, it was just like 20 years ago when I walked through the door with my backpack.
That's
I'm
wonderful.
really honored to be here and really committed to supporting the work that, Sister Joellen did for a really long time.
So, Michelle, you talked about a little bit about the anxiety that can come about at the end of that 2-week span, waiting for the next shipment from the Greater Chicago Food Depository. What else would you classify as your greatest challenge that you have?
Yeah. So one of the other challenges that we also have is in terms of volunteers, right? We operate and we depend on our volunteers, right? And so if we don't have volunteers, we're kind of understaffed. And so, we that's another one of my anxieties when, some of our volunteers don't show up, and I know life happens, and most of them are very, very committed to the work that we're doing. But we're always looking for new volunteers. We're always seeking, those folks that have a little bit of time that they want to give back and support. And we're here to welcome them. And, I guarantee them that their experience is going to be very fulfilling.
So let's help you beat that drum. If people want to get involved as a volunteer, how do they go about doing that?
Yes, absolutely. So there is a volunteer portal on our Catholic Charities website where you can sign in for a time slot and commit to coming in. That's exactly it. It's up on the screen right now. And they're currently updating it because some days run out. We're full on certain days, but we're always looking for volunteers. So if you have time, extra time that you'd want to come out and help and have a fulfilling experience with us, I welcome you.
That's wonderful. And again, Casa Catalina is located at 4537 South Ashland Avenue in Chicago. Also, so visit CatholicCharities.net. That will take you to our volunteer portal. Or give Michelle or a member of her team a call at 773-376-9425.
Michelle, I know you mentioned Sister Joellen Tumas, and I had the pleasure of meeting her as well. What an inspiration she is. When she was retiring, I know she said she was going to still try and be one of your regular volunteers. Has that been able to happen?
Yes, so she just recently returned, actually around the time that I started on here, she came on board. And so she comes once a month to help out with administrative work, with anything that I need.
It's wonderful.
She has been such a great coach, in this transition. So yes, she still comes, and I'm very happy to have her here.
Michelle, you've been such a great guest. Thank you so much. We'd love to have you back at some point soon and telling more stories about what's going on inside Casa Catalina.
I also applaud you, Michelle, and all your team members for all you've accomplished during the pandemic. Your ongoing service to client needs is truly remarkable and inspiring. Thanks again. I agree with Phil. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you so much.
You as well. And we invite all of you back again next week for another edition of The Voice of Charity. For now, this is Katie Bredemann with Phil Zepeda, and we thank you for tuning in and believing in the mission of Catholic Charities.